Things to avoid when doing client work. Okay, so in terms of my own experiences with stuff like this, some stuff I might give as advice when it comes to client work and stuff like that is, in some cases, if you can avoid giving specific deadlines for things, that's probably, a good way to go. So in some cases, you might just have to give a deadline, like, okay, I'm going to get it to you on such and such a date. But in some cases, it might be better to just be like, I'll try to get it to you soon, or, maybe within the month, as opposed to by a specific day of the month. Again, do this, within reason. Don't be unreasonable about this. Don't, try not to leave anybody, in the dark on what's going on. Communicate to a level that is good. But, if you don't have to give certain, specific examples of things, on such and such a day and such a time, if you don't have to give those specific details, then maybe consider not saying those specific details, because then you kind of hold yourself to that standard potentially. So if you can just kind of give a general idea, maybe go that route, but again, gauge it based on the situation and what's reasonable. Because even I just did this recently where I said I'll get something to you later tonight or by the end of tonight or something like that. And then I didn't end up doing that. I ended up getting it to them on there's a fly in here. I ended up getting it to them on the Monday or the Tuesday instead of the Saturday or something like that. And it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but it's it probably would have been better if I just didn't give a specific time like that, since it might not have been necessary, right? So beyond that, try to clearly communicate things to your client. So even if beforehand, maybe giving them a general idea of what it is that you plan on doing, or ask them what it is that they want. You're going to probably do this hopefully in advance to doing the actual gig, whether it's an event or whatever. My experience is mostly with event video / photo stuff. Probably a bit more so on the video side of things, but I've done some photo stuff. And so even if you just have a meeting with the client and say, okay, what is the stuff that you want, or what's an idea of what you'd like? If they don't really have a general idea, but they just kind of want the event captured, then maybe come up with some ideas and kind of pitch it to them and see if they like it. Because at the end of the day, try to provide them something that is good and ideally that they will like. It makes sense, right? And so try to go about it from that perspective. If they have certain specifics, try to keep that in mind. And also just the more kind of backups and ways that you could have these fail safes in place, the better. So if you're recording audio, and you can record it both on your camera as well as on the audio recording device, if it's an external device that's placed somewhere, just as many versions of the recording that you can have at a time. Say you're running your cameras into a HDMI, system. So for example, say you're running your cameras into a camera switch system, it might still be a good idea to record on board on each camera. So record internally on each camera, in addition to running the feed of the camera to some switch or other recording device or whatever. Just these different little things that if something goes wrong, you hopefully have a backup option, right? Beyond that, things to try to avoid. So don't skip out on good power supply solutions if you're doing a gig that is a longer time frame. So if you're filming some sort of event, it might be worth investing in larger battery solutions for your camera gear, like a V-mount battery or an NPF battery or something like that, or maybe a dummy battery that plugs into a wall outlet, if you can kind of work that out in terms of your setup and stuff like that. Just because you would like to avoid the hassle of cameras dying on you during the gig, right? And also just having large enough storage options for your cameras. So larger SD cards, if you could afford it, whether it's a 256 gigabyte card, a 512 gigabyte card, a a 1 terabyte, SD card, whatever like works. Maybe you could record to an external SSD from your camera. Like, it depends on your budget and stuff like that and what you want to do, but just more storage is going to be usually probably better than less, because you don't want to run out of storage space. You don't want to run out of battery life. You want to try to minimize any of the things that will cause like a failure, like in the sense of like a critical fail at the work site, right? Like anything that's going to prevent the footage from either being recorded in the first place or stop the recording, or is going to make it so that you can't even use the gear. So like whether it's your storage, your power, your whatever, things like that. Try to position your gear in such a way where it's not going to be damaged. Like if you're at an event and you have something set up on a tripod, try to maybe be a bit mindful at where you place it. Stuff like that. Oh, mosquito. So it's in here somewhere. It's here somewhere. That's kind of annoying. But anyway, try to minimize the room for error. That's kind of more or less like a good perspective to have. That mosquito's here somewhere. So anyway, try to avoid those kinds of things. Maybe I answered the initial question, or maybe I didn't as much as I could have. But anyway, I'm going to end that there. Mosquitoes in here somewhere, I think. Oh, I think I got it. Oh, is there another one? Okay, I got a Skool Community. Link in description. If you got questions, ask the questions there. Thank you for watching and have a good day.